do we see communication with our kids getting better or worse as they grow in the technological age? A, it'll get better. B, it will get worse. C, it will stay the same. Since you're the communication expert, Josh, what do you say?
What I'm going to say is repeat that question.
Do we see communication with our kids? See, communication again. Repeat the question. See, we're living it. Do we see communication with our kids getting better or worse as they grow in this technological age? A, it will get better. B, it will get worse. C, it will stay the same.
I think it will get worse if we allow it to go the way it's going, because the way my kids communicate right now is literally like the only time like we're like talking is like when they're telling me about their games.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like asking about like our games or like anime, anything that they're interested in. It's like, but I've said this before, like you need to talk to your kids about things that they're interested in, like not just like, oh, how's school today? Like, because that's all we really care about. Not all, but like, what are you doing in school? But like, a lot of times we sit down and been like, what are you interested in, and how does that make you feel, and let's talk about that. Because a lot of times, I find it like a blessing that like I'm still a kid at heart, and like the things that I like my kids like, because we could sit down and have these conversations about like, you know, One Piece and you know, this character and like, oh, what's this guy doing? You know what I mean? Because then it's not like your kids just blathering on about something that you have no idea they're talking about, and you're just kind of like like, which a lot of parents do, and they just dismiss what they're even saying. They're like on their phone like yeah, right. And then they're like, my kid doesn't talk to me. They've been talking to you, you're just not listening.
Well, there are a lot of parents that think cartoons and all that stuff are nonsense, so they don't even pay attention to it, right?
Yeah.
Not even parents, people.
Yeah,
a lot of people think it's nonsense.
Yeah,
it's great.
So
great story.
It kind of creates that disconnect between you and your kids, because you can't relate to anything that they're interested in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like so for you, Quincy, will it get better or worse or the same?
I think it'll get worse, right? I mean, the odd times my son and I would sit down and watch Invincible or something like that, you know, and Star Wars. And my daughter, we at this point we still have conversations about whatever she wants to talk about, right? You know, kids come up, oh, Dad, why does this happen? Or Dad, what's that? And my daughter, she could talk, man. And we just go and I really enjoy it. But my son will be around each other and it'll be quiet. He's doing some video editing, and then, yo, Dad, look at this. And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. How do you do that?
That's where you got to jump on it. You got to jump on those times, because.
Yeah, but then, you know, a lot of times he's headset and he's gaming with some of his friends and stuff. So
yeah,
that's where his attention is, right? But then as soon as I try to leave and go out the door, Dad, where are you going?
Yeah,
you can't even pay me no mind. So what does it matter?
It's just, you know, it's literally just about being around. Like,
yeah.
I have the kids here, and they'll be gaming. Sometimes I'll be gaming, but it's just like having them in the space, or they'll just come in and be like, oh, what are you doing? Like, oh, blah blah. And then like when we're done, I'll just pull them and be like, hey, let's just go watch like some TV. Like, doesn't matter. Let's just go sit on the couch, you know, and just do some stuff together. And we're not even talking, but we're just like watching. And
it's just around each other.
Yeah, it's just the energies.
For me, I say it'll get worse with an asterisk unless we actually do non-technological things with them. I will say some of the best communication I've had with my kids, and they're glued to devices like anybody's kids, like is that like when you actually force them and they fight, and it could be a basketball game, it could be making them read, it could even be going for a walk, or even sometimes when we're just driving and I pick them up in the car for those 30 minutes, I'm like, put your phone down, even if we're listening to music and we're just talking. Right. And then because you know that the rest of the time they're going to get in the devices. And on top of that, as savvy as I think I am with apps and games, whatever, they're discovering stuff I've never even heard of.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell? Right. And I'm like, and they think, they call me a boomer, and I'm like, I am no
You're
boomer.
not a boomer.
Right? Like
not a boomer.
No, but what I realized, and this is one of those things, especially in COVID, it's been really difficult for lots of us. But I do say there is some incredible value of like literally just taking the devices out of your kids' hands, taking them to a park, and just letting them do what we did when we were kids, and just run and play. And I think some of that stuff does get lost. I mean, we used to like go out after school from like 3 to 8 p.m. and just like we'd come back at like dinner time, and there was no cell phones, there was no nothing. And I think because there's less kids out, we're more paranoid with social media and stuff. We don't do that.
Our world was a lot smaller, right?
Yeah, 100%.
We didn't know all this about all this other stuff, right? So we didn't feel as nervous being outside or whatnot,
It's just like Nader said, there was more kids. Like the other day I was working and I caused an outage, and like this whole complex was down, everything. And like I'm working and I'm looking around and I'm just seeing, I'm like, there's kids outside. I'm like, there's people outside and there's parents outside and people are playing outside. I'm like, what the hell? And it was so weird because it's like, it's COVID. And it's like everyone's just in their houses. But like as soon as you disconnect, as soon as I disconnect them, everyone's just outside. Either to be like, what's going on? Are you fixing the problem? To be like, oh, then the balls came out, the toys, and there was just kids playing. I'm like,
look what you did.
Look at this.
What you did.
Isn't that what an irony of that statement is that by trying to fix something, like you actually seeing human beings trying to connect in a way that is a natural way, that the smaller ways you said, Quincy, like, right? It's how we used to do it.
That was a great act that you did.
I know. I just left it out for a little longer.
That wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a mistake, man.
It was God's plan.
Yeah, you cause a lot of happiness right there in that moment.
No, and I mean, and even in this podcast, it's been so interesting, like, because this is how we've had to connect. The three of us as friends pre-COVID had always see each other like all the time, and we've been forced to do it this way, right? It's been so interesting.
One thing, actually, sorry to cut you off, but imagine Earth Day was once a month, right? Where they turn off everything once a month instead of once a year.
They should do that shit.
Turn off everything so people can just disconnect and appreciate other things.
Let's start that shit. Let's start a protest.
We're gonna start it right now because we are out of time, so we are going to disconnect for this week. So we will see everyone in the coming weeks. We have some exciting podcasts coming up. Stay tuned to the brolitfactory.com. Go there, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Spotify, follow us on the YouTube channel. The links will be right in the podcast. Any last thoughts signing off, Josh, Quincy?
Like and subscribe and tell your mama and your daddy and your uncles and your sisters and your cousins about it.
Quincy?
Always strive for better communication.
And always use the eggplant emoji.
No, don't do that. 3, 2, 1, we out.